of Chelsea actually closed the gap. Chelsea managed to secure a 1-1 draw against Arsenal, a team that actually went toe-to-toe with Manchester City two seasons consecutively, challenging for the Premier League title. Martinelli opened the scoreline for Arsenal, while Pedro Neto netted the equalizer for Chelsea. Now, looking at the trends of the game, you can clearly see how both teams were dominant, with Chelsea appearing more dangerous and more dominant in the first 50 minutes of the game, even earlier on in the second half, while Arsenal looking even more dangerous and deadly towards the latter stages of the game. I believe that the result for both teams was quite fair. Looking at the possession stats and the shot stats, you can clearly see that these two teams looked quite even. So, Chelsea, after this result, after dropping 2 points, after winning just one game in their last 4, find themselves third. Chelsea have managed to play their toughest opponents this season and are looking now to play the teams below them in the league, giving Enzo Maresca a clear run to go into an incredible run for Chelsea and actually sustain them in this position they have acquired. So in our video today, we are going to try and analyze this game. We are going to try and analyze the key tactics that both managers deployed in this game. Another key moment was Kai Havertz, who looked to try and come and get back at Chelsea after he was actually sold to Arsenal. He has that thing that he's against Chelsea. Marc Cucurella also managed to tame Bukayo Saka in that right wing position. He was very incredible. He won Man of the Match from Sky Sports and actually showcased a dominant performance against Saka. What actually happened in this game? Before we start, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Firstly, we look at Chelsea. We look at Chelsea in possession and out of possession. We look at what Enzo Maresca had actually set up Chelsea for, and what did Chelsea do to stop Arsenal. Now, this game, Chelsea looked to continue playing from the back as they do. And this happened when Colwill dropped the side of Robert Sanchez, while Fofana and Marc Cucurella pushed wide to play as fullbacks. Now, initially, Arsenal tried to press aggressively high by trying to push their entire team forward. But Arsenal's press was quite structured, in that Martin Odegaard would leave the midfield and join Kai Havertz in the front line, looking to apply pressure. Now, what we will see here is that Malo Gusto will immediately push forward and look to invert in that right half space position, while Palmer moves towards the left, enabling Chelsea to have that front 5. Now, because Arsenal was scared that if they decided to go man-to-man with Chelsea's backline, they will leave themselves vulnerable in midfield, because Chelsea have that box-shaped midfield that gives them numerical advantages. And even if Arsenal's midfielders pushed forward to try and suffocate Chelsea by closing down on the pivots, then Sanchez or Levi Colwill would immediately look to play the balls in between the lines, especially for players such as Malo Gusto. Now, you can see from this clip the position of Sanchez and Levi Colwill, and you can also see the position of Fofana and Marc Cucurella, who are playing in slightly deeper positions. And in these positions, Chelsea were able to effect the game by having their players picking up the ball in between the lines, something that Malo Gusto and Cole Palmer did. However, Arsenal did not try to press Chelsea aggressively high, because they understood the threat that Chelsea actually had playing those transition moments that have made Chelsea so dangerous and deadly this season. So Arsenal allowed Chelsea to progress the first phase of play quite easily, and Chelsea moved into that 3-2-2-3 structure, the 3-2-5, the box-shaped midfield that Enzo Maresca wants. You can see from this clip the position of Caicedo and Romeo Lavia as the pivot, the position of Cole Palmer and Malo Gusto high up, and how Arsenal were looking to have that narrow front 4 that usually neutralizes the box-shaped midfield. Now, Arsenal's forwards were trying to press Chelsea's centre-backs momentarily, but looking at this clip, once Colwill was able to play the ball to Wesley Fofana, Lavia would create an angle for Fofana, just in case Lavia would push, Havertz would push forward to press Fofana, then Fofana would play the ball to Lavia, and that's how Chelsea would easily beat Arsenal's press. Now, this box-shaped midfield is very dangerous. And if Arsenal decided to commit forward, then Chelsea's centre-backs, especially Levi Colwill, who's one of the best ball-playing centre-backs in the league, would find the two pivots, and the two pivots will turn and look to effect the game. And that is something that we saw Lavia doing time and time again. And if Thomas Partey would be caught out of position trying to cover Lavia, then the ball will be played to Cole Palmer, and Palmer will receive the ball in the pocket of space and look to try and effect the game. 3 to 5 created problems, because if Partey and Rice were drawn onto Lavia and Caicedo, then Palmer and Gusto would be free to receive the ball higher up the pitch. Now, because of this box-shaped midfield, Arsenal decided that they should retain their two pivots deeper to cover Gusto and Cole Palmer, and use their forwards rather than pressing the centre-backs, allow the centre-backs with the ball and try to have their forwards covering the two Chelsea pivots. But that was not what Enzo Maresca, that is not just one trick that Maresca had. We started to see Wesley Fofana in particular receiving the ball and looking to carry the ball forward, looking to drive with the ball in field so that he can draw a presser and then look to play the ball either to Gusto or Noni Madueke. And because Fofana was able to do this, Chelsea were able to bypass that Arsenal overload and actually find themselves in the final third. And we saw Fofana actually playing tremendously well when he looked to carry the ball. Noni in this position will either try to slip the ball to Gusto, who would attempt a cross high up the pitch, or sometimes he would look to cut in with his left foot and attempt shots on goal. It's something that we saw Noni Madueke attempt, especially during the first half of the match, though he was not quite able to create something from those kinds of situations. Now, Chelsea's structure also further created problems for Arsenal because Chelsea were quite fluid, though I believe that Palmer was not quite proficient in this game. So sometimes Arsenal decided to press the centre-backs, and Colwill in particular would attempt these line-breaking passes, especially towards Cole Palmer. Palmer, complemented with his incredible fast touch, would receive the ball and look to automatically play the ball for the runs of Pedro Neto. And Neto in this position would find himself in a position where he could cross the ball. Here you can see Colwill is standing on the ball, looking to draw Arsenal players to press them. You can see the position that Cole Palmer is taking. He shifted wide, but he has realized that Bukayo Saka is trying to cover the wide area, and he can see that spaces is opening up in the pocket. Colwill is able to play that ball, line-breaking pass through Arsenal's midfield and defense line, and now Cole Palmer is having a free run on goal and is actually attacking Arsenal's back four. Now, when you look at this situation, you automatically realize that this is creating problems for Arsenal. Now, Palmer, who was being suffocated in that central part of the pitch, will sometimes shift across to receive the ball in the wide areas. Once he received the ball in these wide areas, he will pull out Thomas Partey. Now look at this situation here. Saka is looking to push forward and press Marc Cucurella. Marc Cucurella can easily spot the position that Cole Palmer is picking, and using his right foot, he's able to play that ball onto Cole Palmer and actually beat Bukayo Saka. Now once the ball is played to Cole Palmer, Partey is now tasked to shift across and cover, and Palmer plays the ball back to Pedro Neto, who is able to receive the ball and look to make runs. Alternatively, when this happens when Partey is shifting across, then Jackson also looks to drop to receive the ball directly from Cole Palmer. And that is something that actually created problems for Arsenal. Now, because of Neto's making runs in this position, this actually made Arsenal's Ben White face a tough test. And this is because of Neto's pace and his ability to make runs. Another thing that we saw in Chelsea is that when Arsenal looked to create this overload, Maresca would choose to drop Nicholas Jackson so deep that he would pull Gabriel out of position, then actually find himself in a position where he could actually allow Chelsea to progress with the ball forward. Now, looking at this clip, you can see that Colwill has the ball. He's looking, you can see Arsenal's forwards are sitting on Chelsea's pivots, and the wide players are looking to try and track back Chelsea's wide centre backs. Now, Colwill in this position can see Jackson dropping deep, and Colwill plays that ball to Jackson. Now, Jackson pulls Saliba out of position, but the problem is there is no player who's making runs in behind. Now, let's look at Arsenal. Let's see what Mikel Arteta actually put out in this game. Now, Arteta might be disappointed because he wanted Arsenal to get the 3 points here, but he actually had some clear tactical setups that he wanted to deploy against Chelsea. Now, Arsenal, just like Chelsea, Chelsea were much more efficient pressing Arsenal from the front, and we saw time and time again David Raya looking to go long, because I've told you Raya is not quite one of the best ball playing goalkeepers that we have in the league. So majority of the times he attempted to play long balls over the top to try and have Arsenal move forward quickly. Now, what we saw with Arsenal is that Thomas Partey sometimes would drop in between Saliba and Gabriel and look to create that third man centre back. You can see from this clip, Partey has dropped in between Saliba and Gabriel and is acting as the third player, looking to try and give Arsenal that backline advantage against Palmer and Jackson, who are looking to press Chelsea, pressing Arsenal aggressively high. Now, this back three will shift, not necessarily meaning that Partey will be the one who will be deeper. Sometimes Ben White would tuck in and remain deeper because he was threatened by the pace of Pedro Neto, especially through transitions. And Chelsea were quite dynamic in the way they pressed, because whenever Ben White received the ball, Neto was quick enough to push forward and look to press him. Now, this allowed Martin Odegaard to shift and look to come and receive the ball in this wide channel. And because Lavia would move forward to try and cover this will create a problem, especially when Thomas Partey would move to receive the ball directly under the cover shadow of Cole Palmer. And this allowed Arsenal to create a situation where Saka was always left 1v1 with Marc Cucurella. And credit needs to go to Cucurella, because probably if it was another centre back, another full back, Saka would have had destroyed him. But Cucurella was very efficient in dealing with Bukayo Saka yesterday. And even at times when Neto looked to press in this position, Odegaard would receive the ball. And because of Kai Havertz also dropping deep and not playing as a traditional number 9, this further exacerbated the problem, because now Lavia could not drop to try and cover Odegaard, and this allowed Odegaard to progress with the ball forward and actually have space to try and affect the game. And this is how actually Martin Odegaard managed to create the assist that made him actually Arsenal to score their first goal against Chelsea, by playing that lovely ball over to the far post for the runs of Martinelli. Now, looking at this clip, you can see the position of Odegaard. You can see that Pedro Neto has pushed forward to try and press. He moved to try and press Ben White, and Odegaard has shifted out to try and receive the ball in this kind of situation. Now, what this created is that now Odegaard will now receive the ball higher up the pitch and push Arsenal forward. And you can see Arsenal were trying to overload Chelsea down the far post area, and Noni Madueke should have actually moved to try and compensate for that. Now, because Timber had also joined Martinelli in those positions, Gusto was left in a no man's land, and this ball was played over the top that actually caught Gusto off guard, and this made Gusto actually have a free header in goal. I believe Robert Sanchez should have actually played a better role, because Martinelli did not have the best angle to actually score that goal. So Sanchez should have done quite better. And questions, this is now leaving Chelsea fans with a lot of questions about Robert Sanchez and whether he's the right player. Now look at this scenario. Odegaard has shifted out wide, And look at the position where Odegaard is picking the ball. Now, Odegaard in this position is looking to try and link up with Thomas Partey. And this is because Neto has been caught high up the pitch pressing Ben White. Now, Odegaard is moving in field and Saka is now looking to drag Mark Cucurella out of position. Now, Colwill, who's supposed to try and narrow the gap, cannot allow Bukayo Saka to bypass Cucurella, and is also shifting across. Now, the distance between the two centre-backs is quite big, and now Chelsea seem to look like they have contained Saka. But now Chelsea are actually going after Saka with two players. And this is problematic because now one player should have stuck on Martin Odegaard and prevented Odegaard from actually receiving the ball in these instances. And now Odegaard is receiving the ball in a dangerous situation. Now, what you automatically see is that as Gusto is making runs in behind, you can see Martinelli and Timber are already making, and Merino are actually making that run in behind. And now Colwill is the one who plays these players on side. If Colwill just maintained the defensive line high up, then Chelsea would have actually managed to stop Arsenal from scoring that goal by playing Arsenal offside in this goal. And Robert Sanchez is at fault because he did not actually look to narrow Martinelli's goal and allowed him to have an easy pass through goal. Now, Chelsea are looking like they have actually closed the gap on Arsenal because Arsenal were quite far from Chelsea. Arsenal were just miles ahead of Chelsea in the last two seasons. So Chelsea actually coming out, going toe-to-toe with them and actually denying them chances, pressing them, winning the ball off them, dominating the ball off them is something quite remarkable compared to where Chelsea were last season and where Chelsea were the season prior. So Maresca looks like somebody who has actually transformed Chelsea's football club. Moses Caicedo is coming out as the best defensive midfielder in the league this season. His form is just outstanding. The way he wins the ball, the way he possesses the ball is something that is quite remarkable. Now, Chelsea have a run-in where they have only 3 difficult fixtures in their next 15 games. If Enzo Maresca is quite serious and is quite able to establish his team well, Chelsea have an opportunity to actually go on a winning run and actually win around 13 of their next 15 games. Do you think Chelsea are going to do that? Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.